Bovine Spongiform Encephalopathy, or BSE, is a slow, progressive, fatal disease of the central nervous system of cattle. Scientific evidence suggests that BSE is associated with a rare human disease called variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. The consequences of a BSE infection is a fatal, incurable brain-wasting disease in cattle, which can be transmitted by the consumption of infected animal byproducts. Diagnosis of the disease is difficult, and preventing BSE is the only safeguard. There are no treatments, and no vaccines are available. The financial impact of just one positive animal can be devastating to an individual operation, but due to the effect on markets, it can cost the industry billions of dollars as well. Everyone must do their part to protect our products for our consumers. This segment deals with the rendering industry and those individuals and firms that deal directly with the rendering operations. Renderer component. The rendering industry provides a valuable service to a number of components of the livestock production systems by adding value to items that have little, no, or a negative value. The rendering industry has been at the forefront of efforts to prevent the establishment and spread of BSE. What is involved in the rendering process? An overview of the rendering process published by the National Renderers Association provides this description. Rendering is a process of both physical and chemical transformation using a variety of equipment and processes. All the rendering processes involve the application of heat, the extraction of moisture, and the separation of fat. Cooking inactivates bacteria, virus, protozoa, and parasites. Separation of fats allows this component to be handled as a liquid, and the removal of water reduces volume and extends storage time of the product. Rendering does not destroy the prion associated with BSE. For the sake of our discussion, we'll discuss only the production of animal-derived protein and fat products utilized by the animal food feed industry. Rendering industry products. The rendering industry deals with the following lines of products: prohibited protein products, Sympath, cattle materials prohibited in animal feed, exempt or non-prohibited protein products, Tallow. Prohibited protein products. The predominant products in this line come from ruminant animals and include products such as ruminant meat and bone meal. These products must be labeled with the caution statement, "Do not feed to cattle or other ruminants unless the product is in retail pet foods." Sympath. Beginning in 2009, the rules were enhanced to strengthen the level of protection by removing Sympath from being used in animal feed, which is the brains and spinal cords from cattle 30 months of age and older. The entire carcass of cattle not inspected and passed from human consumption that are 30 months of age and older, from which brains and spinal cords were not effectively removed or otherwise effectively excluded. Tallow that is derived from other materials prohibited by this rule that contain more than 0.15% insoluble impurities. Mechanically separated beef that is derived from the materials prohibited by this rule. It is the firm's responsibility to have written procedures for how materials will be handled and to be able to demonstrate that these procedures are followed and documented. Exempt or non-prohibited protein products. The following products are exempt or non-prohibited: blood or blood products, milk products, and gelatin. The following non-ruminant proteins are exempt or non-prohibited: pure porcine or pork proteins, pure equine or horse proteins, poultry, marine, or fish. The following are also considered non-prohibited: grease, fat, oil, amino acids, and dicalcium phosphate when derived from animal origins. The only exception in this class is tallow, rendered fat from cattle origin, which will be classified as follows. Tallow. Tallow classifications: non-prohibited tallow, prohibited tallow, Tallow from Sympath. Non-prohibited tallow. Tallow that meets the specifications for having no more than 0.15% insoluble impurities and can be used as a feed product for any animal. Prohibited tallow. Tallow that contains more than 0.15% of insoluble impurities and none of the source material came from Sympath. The product must bear the caution statement, "Do not feed to cattle or other ruminants." Tallow from Sympath. The last category of tallow is for a product that contains more than 0.15% insoluble impurities, and all or part of the source material was Sympath. This product cannot be used for animal feed. Labeling and/or invoices must contain the statement, "Do not feed to animals." This product must also be marked with a visual marking agent to distinguish it from other products going for animal feed. Additional information is available in the publication from FDA titled Guidance for Industry No. 195. This document and links to the FDA website are included on this disc for future reference if viewed from a computer. With this detailed introduction to rendering, how do those other industry segments interact with the rendering segment? Transporters. Transporters need to be aware of the product they are hauling from the rendering plant. This product may be prohibited, for example, ruminant meat and bone meal. Non-prohibited or exempt, for example, blood products, porcine meat and bone meal, or Sympath that must be used for something other than animal feed. The phrase, "know your load," becomes very important. The use of dedicated trailers for transporting prohibited material is popular. However, a trucker may also utilize and adhere to written cleaning procedures if transporting more than one of these types of materials. Documentation of what was previously hauled will be important information to some of your clientele. Feed mills. Feed mills purchasing ingredients from renderers must be aware of the prohibited and non-prohibited status of the ingredients purchased and take the necessary steps to avoid contamination. This will include training for personnel handling the product, dedicated equipment or cleaning and/or flushing procedures, and proper documentation of the receipt, processing, and distribution of the prohibited materials. Producers. While producers may have contact with renderers regarding the purchase of feed ingredients similar to a feed mill, the majority of the time a producer interacts with a renderer is involved in the disposal of dead or fallen livestock. Provisions placed into effect in 2009 now require that there be a distinction between cattle 30 months of age and older. A renderer must be able to document the age of the animals processed, and part of this responsibility may be passed along to the producer. Each renderer can determine their own method for their operation. Methods and procedures must be in writing. In some areas, the additional costs have caused some firms to stop pickup of fallen animals. Others require written documentation on every animal or in an annual written agreement that provides for an identification method to be used by the producers prior to picking up the animal. The renderer may also use size, young calves, or dentation, the observation of the teeth, to determine the age status of the animal. Other legal dead livestock disposal methods in Nebraska include burying. An animal must be buried 4 feet below surface within 36 hours of the knowledge of death. Burning. Contact the Nebraska Department of Environmental Quality before considering this option. Composting. Up until this year, this was not a viable option for producers needing to dispose of animals above 600 pounds. The Nebraska legislature has changed the law effective October 1, 2010 to allow for the composting of larger animals. Note that under Nebraska law, only renderers can transport dead livestock to other locations, with the exception that the owner can transport to adjoining property for disposal or to a veterinary clinic for diagnostic work. Rendering. Rendering plants must properly label prohibited products with the caution statement, "Do not feed to cattle or other ruminants," on any feed label and on the invoice that accompanies the load. To help identify the prohibited loads, the Nebraska Department of Agriculture provides green envelopes for paperwork accompanying the load that identifies the material as a prohibited material. Plastic tags and cable ties are also available to be used as a seal identifier on truck latches to warn employees unloading the product at its destination that they are unloading a prohibited product and to avoid accidental contamination of feed ingredients. The message on the tag is provided in both English and Spanish. How can you learn more? You can contact the Nebraska Department of Agriculture directly. Their phone number is area code 402-471-2341, or visit their website at www.agr.ne.gov, or the FDA website at www.fda.gov, or talk to your vet. Discuss it with your feed supplier, or visit your local UNL Extension office at www.yourcountyname.unl.edu. Files containing examples, guidance documents, and lists of products are available on this disk when accessed via your computer.